Welcome to Pyramid Knits. My name is Liz. I am a knitter and natural dyer based outside of Taos, New Mexico in the southwestern United States. This is my Craftcast knit tube, whatever you want to call it, space on the internet where I get to talk about all of my crafty pursuits and hopefully connect with some of you while I'm at it and hopefully impart some knowledge while I'm at it. I've got two big dogs right in my lap. Oh, hi buddies. You're gonna have to go away and not distract me. Okay, now that I've shooed the dogs away, I do have some extra mud on me now. I got stepped on a little bit. Yeah, it's very gross and muddy and snowy outside. We got a good snow a week ago or something. And it has stayed very cold this last week, so it's mostly all still on the ground, but it's starting to warm up and it's all gonna melt this week and it's gonna be so nasty. There's a dog drinking water now. Okay, now he's done drinking. Yeah, so it's been very cold this week. I've got to have a couple of fires in my wood stove, which has just been so cozy. But yeah, the sun is out today and it's starting to warm up. So since I sat down with you last, I finally mustered up the courage and the energy to go through my stash and to go through my work in progress storage. This whole area behind me had just turned into a massive mountain of rando yarn and project bags and ripped up patterns and crumpled up patterns and abandoned project, and it was just so overwhelming. It took a lot to get through it. And then I even went into my full-on stash, got everything out, dumped everything onto my bed, found everything that had moth damage, and started cycling those things through the freezer and discarding the yarn that I deemed too chewed on to really continue going. So what I'm going to do with that, my disposal of that yarn is going to be in my garden. So it's gone into a little basket for garden yarn. So in the spring, whenever I'm digging up some new garden beds, I can just throw some wool in there and let that break down in the soil, and it'll help hold moisture in the soil while it's still wool. So yeah, that's a great thing you can do with leftover wool or roving or something that you're not going to use or that's damaged. If it's just 100% wool, you can just put it outside. It'll decompose and it'll feed your garden. Win-win. Well, it's not really a win-win because you lost your yarn, but you know. Anyway, yeah, it was a process. It was a process. I went and sprayed out all of my baskets and all of my bins and reorganize things. My stash is mostly leftovers from other projects, but as I've become a more serious natural dyer and as I've become a hand spinner, suddenly my stash has ballooned with all of these dye experiments, tons of, mini skeins of random colors that I'm not gonna sell or anything because they were just random mini skeins of yarn. And then I've stolen some yarn out of my shop for myself. And a lot of hand spun now too. I was really shocked at the amount of hand spun I have. It's really just, I would say, been this year that I've started spinning a lot more because I haven't touched my spinning wheel, I think, since I last podcasted, which has been at least 3 weeks. But I have been busy on many, many other projects, which you will see. I just have not had time to get to the spinning wheel. I'm hoping that some of these are going to start wrapping up here and I can get back to doing other things. But yeah, right now it's just like crafts everywhere all of the time, because of gifts, because of commissions, because I just have to knit myself like 3 sweaters at a time and impulse cast on things and have socks, because socks don't count as a project. They don't. I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, in clearing out all of my stash, oh, one of the other things I did, I either made little bags or found any little bags that I had, and I filled them up with, let's see if I can pull any out without making a huge mess. Whoop. Oh, kind of. Yeah, and these are just the lavender stems. I don't think there's really that much flower in here, but it still is quite potent smelling. I put lavender and mint in all of these little bags, and I have stuffed them around in all of my baskets, in project bags, in boxes, in hopes of keeping those fucking moths away. Yeah, so hopefully I'm going to be a little bit more of a responsible stash owner going forward, now that I have, seen the destruction that just leaving shit out does. Oh dear. Yeah, that's depression for you. But the fact that I tackled all of this and cleaned up my stash, y'all, I'm pretty proud of myself. That's a good sign. Yeah, slowly but surely, with many backslides, I am feeling better. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. So as I was cleaning everything out, I was like, I need to get my WIPs under control. Like when I was first starting out knitting, I was very much a monogamous knitter. I didn't want more than one project at a time. I thought people who had multiple projects going were insane. I was like, I don't know how these people can do it. And now I, of course, am one of those people. It's just the evolution of a knitter, I think. I feel like most of us have that same storyline. So I also mentioned I was doing a commission knit. And that is something that I have always shied away from because I don't want to knit things that I don't want to knit. Do you know what I mean? But I'm also kind of getting to the point in my life where I have extra time and less income. So, particularly in the last couple of months, it's shoulder season here. I live in a tourist town with a ski resort. And like the town gets really busy in the summertime, the ski resort gets really busy in the wintertime, but it's these in-between months in the shoulder season that there's just not that much going on. Like honestly, half the restaurants in town are just closed for the month of November because there aren't any tourists here, so they don't care. And yeah, one of my jobs is caretaking a vacation rental, which has been vacant basically for the last 2 months. I think I had one guest in the last 2 months. So not so much money coming in there. So I was like, I think it's time that you just start doing some commission knits with, I think he stopped. Oh, what was I saying? Yes, I think it's time for me to start taking on some commission knits. Honestly, it's because a friend kept asking for a scarf for like the last year, and I was like, okay, fine, like, I'll do it. If you're gonna ask for that long, then you're probably knit worthy, and like I know this person has, like dropped some cash on handmade, like quality items. So I'm like, okay, I think you're going to understand. I think you're going to care for the knits. You're not going to come back to me and have it be felted. You are knit worthy because you are paying me. So I started knitting the scarf. As I've been knitting the scarf, which I'll show you in just a minute, I realized I did not charge nearly enough money. Not nearly enough. So yeah, I'm gonna need to up my prices next time around. But my theory, my theory of how many WIPs I should have at a time is 3 to 4 projects for myself, because I gotta. 1 project that is a gift knit, and 1 project that is a commission knit, and then socks, because those don't count. So that still leaves me with like a potential of 6 WIPs at one time, plus some socks, which is still kind of a lot. I'd like to get it down to maybe like 3 knits for wait, is that what I said? 2 knits for myself, 1 gift and 1 commission, and like have 4 projects going at a time. That seems pretty reasonable to me. But let's be real, I'm gonna end up casting on more things. It's just the way it goes. But I'd like to kind of keep that in mind and yeah, not overwhelm myself as I did before with just projects everywhere and yarn everywhere and abandoned projects and the whole bit. So I don't want to keep doing that. So yeah, I'm going to try and stick to like 2 or 3 projects for myself, a gift knit and a commission knit. If I don't have any commissions going, I think I'm just going to start knitting stuff and putting it up in my shop, because like, why not, right? Gotta knit something. Yeah, so that'll be pretty sporadic. I'm only gonna take 1 commission knit at a time, and like this scarf has legit been the last 2 months. So yeah. It's not gonna be, I'm not gonna be cranking out production knits or anything. Like, if somebody wants to commission me to do a nice knit, like something proper, like I don't want to do anything in chunky wool. I just, my hands don't like it. And you're willing to pay for a all wool handmade garment or accessory, I'm your gal. And if you're not in a rush, that's the other thing. Oh, which reminds me, you can find me on Instagram as Pyramid Dye Works. Yeah, or you can leave comments below, message me over there, whatever. For, you know, commission knits, random questions, knitting advice. Just say hi. So I haven't even started talking about actual knits yet, and I still have to tell you what I'm wearing. Oh my gosh. This is one of my first sweaters ever. I think it's the 3rd sweater I ever knit. It is called Pumpkin Ale. It's by Isolde Teague. It's got this shawl collar that always wants to flip up on me. I knit it out of Hazel Knits, who is in dyer out of Seattle, Washington, in the colorway Hoppy Blonde. So this was my beer sweater. It was the pumpkin ale pattern with the Hoppy Blonde yarn. And well, I can't really stand up. I'll insert and show you. So it's really quite a flattering cardigan, and the cable panel on the back, I mean, come on, you guys, it's so pretty. And it's just got this wonderful shaping that just hugs in at your back. It makes it super comfy. It's nice and wide at the front, so you can just kind of wrap yourself up in it. And it also has pockets. It has pockets, y'all. It's the first time I ever did pockets on a sweater. The other pocket didn't fare quite so well. I left dog treats in this pocket one time, and yeah, the pocket was then gone along with the dog treats. Oh dear. And they did get, well, it was Satya. I only had Satya at that point. He did chew a hole as well, but I fixed that. You can hardly tell. So yeah, I mean, it's the 3rd sweater I ever knit. I still wear it. This has kind of become like my go-to house cardigan whenever I wake up in the morning, just to throw on, because it's not like full sleeves. I just need a little bit of warmth in the morning. Yeah, so this has kind of become my little house sweater, and it's been living on the back of my office chair. Yeah, I love this one. So let's talk about some FOs. I don't know how long it's been. I feel like I've been talking for a long time already. Okay. So this is like mostly an FO. Mostly. I showed you guys this last time. I think it was basically at this point. I just had to do a couple more rows and then bind off. This is the Alejandra shawl by Hoki Locatelli. And I knit this in my own naturally dyed yarn. The yellow is dyed with sagebrush from my yard. The blue is dyed with indigo, and the gray was dyed with avocados. So it's got this mosaic knit pattern here along the border. It's quite wide and not super deep, which is going to be great. This is a gift knit, and the person I'm giving it to is very, very short. So honestly, this will probably be a pretty deep sweater on her. The only thing I have to do now to really have it be like a finished object is attach tassels. So there's supposed to be a little like fringy bits along the bottom. So I just need to sit down and do that one morning. But as I will show you in just a minute, that commission knit scarf that I'm working on also has tassels. And I have a deadline with that one for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to have a tassel party at some point in the next week. And just make all of the tassels for all of the projects and then be done with it. Yeah, so this is my only like finished object, even though it's not technically finished. Yeah, I also finished the socks that I showed you guys probably the last couple of times, but they're in the dirty clothes because I wore them, so I can't show them to you. But I can show you the new socks that I started. So, like I said, sock projects don't count. I always have a sock project going. As soon as I cast one off, I have to cast on another one because, God forbid, I don't have a sock to throw in my bag or to knit on during Zoom meetings. So all I have right now is the toe, and honestly, there's so many mistakes in this toe. Like, what on earth? Look at this. What was I doing? Do you know what I was doing? I was having a beer at the bar. That's what I was doing. Yeah, like it's just a mess. It's just a mess. I kept missing my increases and dropping stitches, and it was a little bit silly, frankly. But anyway, this yarn is, oh my God, from Nervous Fiber, from Charlotte, who is a yarn dyer in Glasgow. And when I was in Scotland earlier this year, I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, do you like have your yarn in any shops in Glasgow that I could pick up? Because I loved her colors. Had been following her on Instagram for a while. And she said, no, I don't. But, you know, if you're like in town, I can meet you somewhere if you want to buy anything. And I was like, oh, really? Well, I'm staying right here. And she's like, oh, I live like 2 blocks from there. It's like, oh, that's amazing. So yeah, I went and I met Charlotte on a street corner in Glasgow and I bought some yarn. It was great. So it's a sock set. This is the contrasting color for heels, toes, and cuffs, and this is the main color. It's called Nautilus. And it's just like, I mean, it's like teal and orange. It's just, that's my colors. That's my colors. Yeah, so these are going now. I'm probably just about done with the toe and ready to start in on this. I think I'm just going to do plain stockinette because this yarn is just so pretty. I'm not even going to bother with ribbing or anything. Yeah. So, new socks on the go. And now I'll show you that commission knit I was talking about. It is, where is it? Ah, it's underneath my chair. There we go. Okay, so this is made out of my own hand-dyed yarn as well, naturally dyed. And it is the Mini Mania scarf by Sarah Core. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Oh, of course I'm in the middle of a row. Jeez Louise. Of course. And it is a gigantic linen stitch scarf. I have the back side showing, so let me just try and flip it inside out without dropping any stitches so that you can see the front. There we go. There we go. Okay. Bam. Check that out, y'all. So, yeah, linen stitch is kind of like a mock weave. It almost looks like a woven fabric. It feels more like a woven fabric than a knit fabric. There's a lot less give than with a straight knit. Side to side's pretty good, but I almost dropped some stitches. Anyway, yeah, so this is crumpled all up on the needles. It is 450 stitches wide. Y'all, why did I agree to knit this for so little money? It's still hundreds of dollars, but so little money. Okay, so the yarn. This is my new sock base, which is 100% product of the US. It's 90% US grown and spun targi and 10% nylon. It is superwash, so it's a good sturdy sock yarn, but it has very limited nylon in it. The orange I dyed with marigolds. I do have some of this in my shop right now. The colorway is Glorious Gold. This sort of bluey greeny color, that is dyed with indigo. I also have some of this in my shop right now. It is the colorway Aquatic. The other ones I don't have in my shop right now. Those are the only two that I have of this currently. The purple is, oh gosh, indigo and cochineal. And the red, which you can see the red stripes there, is cochineal and Osage orange. And the yellow, which you can see here and down here, that is dyed with just Osage orange. So, yeah, I am just going back and forth on this. This has become Zoom meeting knitting as well. Yeah, because it's pretty mindless. I don't really have to look at it too much. Essentially, you're just knitting ribbing the whole time. Linen stitch, you will knit one stitch and then move the yarn to the front like you're going to purl, but then slip that stitch, move the yarn back, knit one, move the yarn forward, slip, move the yarn back, knit one. Do that all the way across. And then on the way back, you will slip your knit stitches, what were your knit stitches, with the yarn in back, and then you'll bring the yarn forward and purl a stitch. So you're purling into the previously slipped stitch, and then you're slipping the stitch that you previously knit. And you're moving the yarn back and forth every single time. For 450 stitches per row, oh my God. And like, I'm a knitter who I don't mind purling. It's not offensive to me in any way. I don't mind doing ribbing. I kind of like doing ribbing. I like the rhythm of it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do this. Like, I know it's going to get monotonous, but whatever. You know, I'm getting paid. Let's see if I can do it. But yeah, it's a lot, and it's a lot on my hands, and it is like physically tiring to knit this after a while. And there was a point there for like a week or so. I feel like my hair is just falling down. Oh, it totally is. Whatever. Yeah, there was a point when I was working on this where it's like every single project I was working on was at the point where I was on ribbing. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot get away from this movement. Like, and my arms were getting really tired and fatigued. It's like I was working on this. I was on the ribbing of the cuff of a sock. I was on the ribbing on the brim of a hat. I was on the ribbing at the bottom of a sweater. It was just like every project hit ribbing at the same time. And that was a little bit frustrating. I've since moved on from that. I'm out of the ribbing on all of those other projects. So this is the only thing I'm knitting ribbing on right now. And yeah, I want to get this delivered to the recipient next weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving. Yeah, and so the thing with the scarf is at the ends, if I can find where the actual end, there it is. Oh, what a mess. Here we go. The ends, you just leave your tails. So you don't have to weave anything in. So at the end, basically these all kind of get braided together. I've done that before, but I can't remember how I did it. I'll have to look it up again. But yeah, I'll just take like 2 or 3 strands at a time and twist them up together and tie little knots, and then it'll have this fringe at the end. Yeah. And as far as doing my color sequencing, I started off with this, like picking my own colors up till about this point. And then I was like, I feel like these stripes aren't going to feel random because I'm choosing them. So I started rolling a 10-sided die to pick the next color. So I assigned everything, each color a number, and I wanted it to be mostly this orange color. That was the request of the recipient, was to be mostly this bright orange. So I assigned 60% of the numbers to the orange color. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to fix my hair. This is stupid. And 40% to each of the other colors. So each other color got 10%. So they got one number. They got one number. And the orange got 6 numbers, right? So every time I finish with a stripe, which a stripe I'm doing 3 rows, then I'll roll a die and see what number I get. And if it's the same number as the color I'm already on, I'll just knit 1 more row in that color and then roll the die again. And so sometimes I ended up with like a thicker stripe of the orange because orange has more opportunity to come up, right? And sometimes I'll get these colors, the contrasting colors next to each other. Sometimes it does this alternating thing. So it's making me feel a lot better about it, that it is like truly random, you know? So this is about 8 inches wide right now. My goal was to get to 12 inches wide. I don't know that that's going to happen, but frankly, whatever, like this is wide enough. I'm just going to keep knitting on it next week and, you know, get in touch with the person and, you know, coordinate a handoff time. And then that's going to be my cutoff. Also, okay. Oh dear. Oh dear. What does my hair look like? So I had done it with the intention of using 1 entire skein of the gold yarn. So I have this much left on it so far. Thus far. So I have this much left of the orange yarn. So I think that's actually going to work out just about right. Like I'll be able to knit through this in the next week with my contrasting colors, which I had, these were a bunch of my dye tests. So I had a bunch of random little mini skeins of different colors. So I'm putting them to good use, which makes me happy. So yeah, the Mini Mania scarf. Beautiful, tedious. I have another gift knit on the needles as well, which is in this bag. Here we go. And this is also out of my own naturally dyed yarn. Oop, this is all tangly. All tangly. All right, here we go. It's a hat. Isn't it so cute? So I dyed this with walnut. I don't have any of this in my shop. This was a base I bought that I didn't realize was superwash. And I just got a few of them. I didn't like get, 20 or anything like that. I probably got 5 or 10 or something. And I dyed some up as a sweater quantity and had a few left over. So just dyed them in walnut. And it's the most beautiful brown. I love it. And this hat is so much fun to knit. This is the October hat by Sloan Rosenthal. And it's out of a collection called the Year of Hats, and there's a different hat for every month. And this is October's. So I think I am just about ready to decrease. I just finished a repeat of the chart. Just finished repeat of the chart. And I just have this little bit here. So I think I'm probably at the decrease section. I'm going to have to go and check the pattern. But that means this is just about done. And I really want to knit one for myself. Like, as I've been knitting this, I'm like, it's so nice and squishy and soft with the cables and the ribbing and the fold over, and the brown is just like so flippin' good. I like really want to knit one for myself now, and I do have another skein of this for myself. But then I'm like, yeah, but like this is a gift for somebody here in town, and I don't know, I have this weird block, I guess, where I'm like, yeah, but if I knit one for myself in the same color, then there's going to be two of them. It won't be like a special hat. But that doesn't matter, right? Like, I could knit myself one in the same color, right? Yeah, it's a super fun cable pattern to knit. I totally recommend it. You're never cabling more than 2 over 2. And there's a lot of resting bits too. So it knits up real quick. Yeah, I've been loving it. Almost done. So hopefully I will have this done and the scarf done next week. That's the plan. Okay, should we move on to sweaters? Or a sweater, anyway. Which bag is that in? I have too many bags. Ha, found it. All right. This one, I showed you guys last time, and I had hoped that I was going to be done with it in the fall, and clearly that's not happening, because I still have a lot to knit. This is the Porty Pullover by Gudrun Johnston. Yeah, last time, I don't know where I was. I was on the body at some point, I think. So I knit until I think that ball of yarn ran out. And then I was like, you know what? I might want to do a repeat of the color work at the bottom of the body. So the pattern has a separate chart for a little band of color work right around the cuff of the sleeve, just above the ribbing. But it doesn't have that on the body. And I was just thinking, I like it so much, I might want to do that on the body too, but I wasn't sure about it. So I just left the body stitches on the cable, put the little stoppers on there, and went ahead and moved on to the sleeve. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit the sleeves, and then after I have those done, kind of decide if I want to do another colorwork band across the body as well before I get to the ribbing, or just knit it plain as the pattern suggests. So yeah, this is going. Oh, snags. This is mostly knit out of Shetland wool that I got when I was over in Scotland earlier this year as well. I don't know where it's from. It was just in a shop with a little handwritten sign that said Shetland. So whatever, it's gorgeous. It knits up in color work so well. It's the main color, this reddish brown, the blue, and the green are all that Shetland yarn. And you can really see that those are the ones that are sitting so flat next to each other. It's like everything else that's puckering. So the other ones, the yellow is my own naturally dyed yarn. I dyed that with sagebrush from my yard. And the white is a very special yarn from Cat of Heather and Hops. It is a yarn that she and her husband had commissioned, I guess. And it's 50% Jacob and 50% black-nosed valet? Black-faced valet? I always forget. which is lovely. And I'm so glad to just use like just a little peppering of it in here, because I'm still going to have so much left over to use it in another project too. And I also got that whenever I was on my trip over to the UK earlier this year. I was lucky enough to meet up with Kat in London and got some yarn. Yeah. So the next sweater on the needles is the Festive Yoke Sweater by Skandier. And it's so much fun. I love it. I love it. Look at this. Oops, there we go. It's so much fun. So I finished the body. I tried it on. It fits fantastic. It hits just where I want it to hit. And as I was knitting on the sleeve, I've started on the sleeve. I was knitting on this earlier today, and I suddenly realized that oh my goodness. I realized that I had actually knit an extra motif in the body, because I had swapped out something from the pattern. I swapped out one of the charts in the yoke. That's one of the fun things about this pattern, is she gives you like an appendix of alternate charts, so you can really make it your own, you know, and mix and mix the different patterns, so you can really make it your own sweater. So yeah, I swapped this second motif out. The way they had it, I think this tree was one higher, and there was some, oh, I think it was hearts, and I didn't want to do the hearts. So I swapped that out for another like snowflakey, argyle-y type pattern, and I just moved the trees down to the next one. And then I just kept knitting down the chart, which, because I added one in up here, it like pushed the rest of the chart down, right? So I just like added in a chart, and then I kept knitting everything else that it said, which means that I actually knit one repeat too many, which is pretty funny. So the pattern also has, the bottom one is like another deer. So I've got the deers going across here, and in the pattern, the bottom motif is like just the deer face, but I didn't want to do that either, so I did some more trees. But I just realized that as I was working on the sleeve today, I was like, wait a minute, that means this is longer than it's supposed to be, but I love the way it fits. It was perfect. So, and I think from some of the pictures I've seen of Ellie with her finished one on, she did hers much more with negative ease and a little bit more cropped. And I was already knitting mine with more positive ease, and it's a little bit longer, which is more my style anyway. And I just want a nice, cozy, snuggly Christmas sweater. So this also has a deadline, because I have a holiday party to go to on December 9th. So this needs to be done by December 9th. That's my goal, which shouldn't be a problem. I just have to do these sleeves, and this is knit up in sport weight. It's a super addictive pattern. You just keep wanting to do one more row, one more motif. So I think it'll just get done. So yeah, I'm into the holiday crafting now. I have a lot more. I have more holiday projects. Do I just have one other? Oh, I have 2 other holiday projects. That's right. I was like, I thought I had more than that. Okay, I'm gonna set that down over there. So I've showed you guys this before. It's been a while. It's my Christmas cross stitch, but I've made some decent progress. Oh my goodness. So I think since the last time I showed this, which was quite a while ago, I've added in like this tree, I finished up the antlers, I did this whole house, the owl, all of this ornament, all of that is newly done. So I'm like getting kind of close. There's still like another big ornament over here and like some more trees, and these are mountains, and then There's probably more trees down here or something. So there's still quite a bit to go. Oh, there's a kitty meowing at the door. Let me go let her in. So there's a chance this will be done by Christmas. There is a chance. And that was really kind of my goal. I started this last year in December. I bought a whole pack of these cross-stitch patterns. There was like 4 or 5 that came in it. I'll list the store on the screen and also link it below. She has a lot of really cute cross-stitch patterns, and I think she's in Ukraine too. So yeah, it came with like 4 or 5 different motifs that were all in this sort of circle and all this kind of folk arty Scandinavian blocky style. And I was looking through them the other day because, of course, I'm not done with this, but I was thinking, oh, maybe I should start another one. Oh dear. And I was looking through them and I was like, oh, there's one that's really kind of like springy, and there's one that's really more like fall oriented, and then there's like 1 or 2 more that are definitely like winter Christmassy. There's one with a bunch of like white winter foxes like jumping through it. It's really cute. So anyway, I was thinking, I need to finish this first. I need to be good and finish this first. But if I can finish this by Christmas, that means I could start on probably the fall one, not the spring one. I don't think I would get it done in time for spring, but I could start the fall one. And then next fall, when I finish the fall one, I can start the spring one. And then once I finish that one in like 2024, right? Then I could do another Christmas one for like Christmas 2024. So years of entertainment with these patterns. Oh my goodness. So super cute. I think I ran out of the white thread, so I'm gonna need to go and pick up some more somewhere at some point. There's not many places in my town. Like Walmart might have DMC thread, I don't know. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to either order it online, or next time I'm down in Santa Fe, I can go by Joann and pick some up there. So one more Christmas craft, which I'm a little bit surprised by myself. I mean, so I bought this yarn last year at the same time that I bought the cross-stitch materials for my Christmas cross-stitch when I was down at Joann in Santa Fe. It's Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick in this really cute barber pole colorway. I just thought it was so cute, and it reminded me of the colorful Christmas lights. And I have been wanting to make some kind of a tree skirt for like years. I've never had a tree skirt. I always just like throw a sheet under there or something. It's so bad. So I'm like, you know what? I want to make like a proper Christmas tree skirt. And I was like, I'm going to crochet a Christmas tree skirt because that seems like a thing you would do, right? And that way I can like learn some crochet. So these were on sale. They were like half off or something whenever I was down there. So I just bought like all that they had, which was, I don't know, like 5 or 6 balls maybe. And finally the other day, I pulled it out and said, okay, let's start making that Christmas tree skirt. Like I'm in the festive crafty mood. Let's do it. And I started looking at crochet patterns and I was like, I don't understand what any of this stuff means. And it's like this flashback to like, oh yeah, like the very first time I ever like read a knitting pattern. It's just like, what are all of these letters? I don't understand what this means. And also I keep getting thrown off because like they do DC for a double crochet, and I keep thinking that means decrease. It's like, and crochet charts, like I don't understand those either. They're weird. They're weird. They're like drawings. I don't understand it. So I didn't get very far with looking at crochet patterns. So instead I went and I just Googled like basic crochet stitches, and I read through an article that was like the 6 basic crochet stitches that everybody should know. And I read through it and I'm like, oh, okay. And I sat with the yarn, and as I went through each stitch, I made a little swatch, and every row I did the different stitch. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is starting to make sense now. And then I looked up how to crochet a circle. And the math behind making it into a circle, which is pretty simple. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Like, let's just make it up. So I'm just making it up, y'all. Look at this. I've got a circle going. It's open on one end so I can wrap it around the tree. I just guessed. I think I chained on like 50 stitches. And what size crochet hook am I using? This is 12 millimeter. I don't really know what that means relatively, but it's a 12 millimeter. So it's a pretty big crochet hook, but this is really thick yarn. And even with this, I'm like, it's like a little bit, I could use a bigger crochet hook, I think, but this is the biggest one I have. So there you go. So yeah, I basically chained on 50, and then I started doing double crochets all the way around. And the circle formula is on your first row, you crochet one, double crochet one, and then you double crochet 2 into the next stitch, and then 1, and then 2 into the next stitch, and then 1, and then 2 into the next stitch. And then on the next row, you increase it by 1, so then you do 2 crochets, and then 2, crochet 1, and then 2 into the next stitch. Crochet 1, 2 into the next stitch. And then the next round out, you crochet 1, 2 into the next stitch. And you just keep adding 1 as you keep going out. And it turns into a circle. Oh my God. So yeah, I'm doing double crochets all the way around, and then I'm doing 1 slip stitch row, and then double crochets all the way around and 1 slip stitch row. So it's making this nice little pattern. And this yarn is like so fun. I love it. It's gonna be so much fun. And my cats are gonna love this. Oh my gosh. It's so nice and squishy. Yeah, so maybe there will be more crochet in my future. We'll see. But yeah, I'm probably gonna get a tree like within the next 2 weeks, so I should really work on this. Yeah, and this is 1 ball so far. So I think, yeah, if I bought 5 or 6 balls, I think that should be plenty. Yeah. Ow. My drawers are attacking me, grabbing onto my hair. Okay, that's all of my Christmas stuff. That's all my Christmas crafting, I think. What else do I have? Oh, right. And then, as if I didn't have enough projects going. Oh, I haven't even talked about sewing yet, you guys. Oh, I gotta start doing these more often. I'm doing too many things now. Okay. Impulse cast on this week. Yeah, I've got a commission knit. I've got a gift knit. I've got a sweater with a deadline. I've got a Christmas tree skirt with a deadline. I have Christmas gifts that I haven't even cast on yet. And I impulse cast on some mitts. Oh my God. So I signed up for Kate Davies All Over Club. And I love Kate Davies. Like, she's my hero. I want to be her when I grow up. You know, she's the reason I went to Scotland, because she introduced me to the West Highland Way. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do that. And I did half of it, but you know, we won't talk about that. Anyway, so I signed up for a club that she's doing. I'm not sure how long it runs, probably just until like the new year or something, because it's been going since Halloween. And each week you get a new pattern, and there's articles that she's written and that she has guest people writing that are part of the club as well. And it's all about color theory, Fair Isle knitting. It's called the All Over Club. So the first couple of patterns I wasn't super into. There was a hot water bottle cozy, which I don't have a hot water bottle. I've never had one. I don't think I've ever seen one in real life. It's just not a real common thing in America, I guess. At least not anywhere that I've ever lived. Oh, there's another kitty. I gotta go let him in. Hang on. All right, both cats inside, both dogs inside. Hopefully there won't be any more interruptions. Probably there will be though. Yeah, because there's a cat right here. Oh, come on. Anywho, yeah, so the first week was the hot water bottle cozy. And I was like, I'm never gonna make that, but it's a cool chart. Like, I can definitely translate that to something else if I ever want to, so that's cool. The second week were some slippers. I was like house slippers, all done fairly. I was like, yeah, I probably would never wear those either. But the third week, which was this week, were some mitts. And I was like, oh yeah, I need some new mitts. I do. So I cast them on, and I've gotten this far. They're knitting up so quickly. This again is all in my naturally dyed yarn. And on the back of the hand is going to be the star motif. Hi, Conan. There are more distractions. Yeah, the back of the hand is a star motif, and on the palm is this really cool lattice sort of pattern. So far, the colors I have here, this brown was dyed with walnut, the blue was dyed with indigo, and this yellow-ish was dyed with kota flower, which is also called Navajo tea. And is a wildflower that's native to this area-ish. Yeah, and I have one other color I'm going to join in the middle, which is just this nice beigey neutral, and this was dyed with tea. Just straight up like Lipton tea bags. So it's just a nice sort of warm neutral, and that's going to go across the sort of, that's going to be the next color I join in. There's a little blue across the middle again, and then you repeat the colors back out. And this pattern does give you the option to either just do fingerless mitts, where you just cast off all the way across, and it also has instructions to do individual fingers that are just like, you know, halfway up, right? And I think I'm gonna do that because that sounds real cozy. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I knit this ribbing in a day, and I knit all of this in probably like an hour or an hour and a half, sitting at my computer, like playing a game and knitting around in between turns, you know? Yeah, so it's knitting up really fast. It's super cute. I'm so happy. It's like a fun little stash busting project. Like, I legit went into my stash because I just cleaned it all out. And I was like, oh yeah, like I know where things are now. I now have a box that's dedicated to naturally dyed like bits and things. So I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna go stash diving in that box, opened it up, and I picked all of the colors that were already wound up. Anything that was still in a hank or a skein, I was like, that's too much trouble. It's like I found 4 colors that were already wound up. And also on this pattern, it gives you like 4 or 5 different color charts, with one that has like, I swear, like 15 different colors. You're changing colors every row. It's like a rainbow. One with like 6 colors, one with 5 colors, and one with 4 colors. So I'm doing the 4 color version because I had 4 colors that were already wound up and ready to go. And it was an impulse cast on, and it had to happen right then. And it did. Oh, Conan. You're being very cute. He's sticking his butt in my face. Yeah. Very happy boy. So I do need some new mitts. I also have a pair of mitts in my mending basket that if I spend literally 30 seconds, they will be fixed and I can wear them again. But instead, I'm like, oh, let's cast on a new pair. That's going to take me a week and a half. It's cold outside. I need mitts. I have mittens, like full mittens, and I have been wearing those this last week because it has been very cold. But it's warming up again this week. It's going to be like in the mid to upper 40s this week. So some fingerless mitts is going to be where it's at. Yeah, so maybe I'll, you know, get that mending basket down tomorrow morning and have a little Sunday morning cup of coffee and fix a few things. So guys, the other thing I've been doing besides randomly crocheting and randomly cross-stitching is I'm sewing. I talked about a couple of garments that I made last time, and I have started something new. It is underneath all of these scraps. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I gotta record more often. This is stupid. Okay. So I'm knitting myself a skirt out of this fabric. It's all just in pieces right now, so like, you know, it's not real clear, but I've gotten, you know, my interfacing applied for the waistband, and I have, let me see if I can show this to you without like just dropping everything. I have attached patch pockets to the front of the skirt. Very, very cute. Yeah, so I'm doing the patch pockets on the bias, and I am doing the waistband on the bias. This pattern is called Patsy. It is from Seamwork. Like I told you last time, I have a subscription to that site. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just keep forgetting to cancel it. So I have to knit stuff, or sew stuff from them. So this is a cotton fabric. It's not wool. I didn't want to spring for wool on a sewing project just yet, because I'm not super confident in my abilities. But I can tell you already, just as far as I've gotten on this project, I'm feeling so much more confident in my sewing skills and like controlling the sewing machine and getting good seams, and yeah, like my edge stitching on the patch pockets, I'm really happy with myself, because I did another garment from Seamwork that had patch pockets on it, which was like the first garment that I made last year or the year before or something, and I really just didn't have great control over the sewing machine, and they were just very lumpy and bumpy and ended up like too small to do anything with. So this one, I'm very happy. My edge stitching turned out great. It's right along the edge. Everything is nice and tucked in, and it's big enough for my phone and for my whole hand. It's perfect. Oops, dropped my waistband. So yeah, this one is going. I need an invisible zipper for it, which I have ordered and should have been delivered to the post office today. So I can go and pick that up on Monday, and finish up this skirt, hopefully over Thanksgiving, which would be great. So I did add some length to the skirt because I want it to be more of like a winter fall piece. So I added, I think, 5 inches to the bottom panel. I meant to add it to the top panel, but I cut out the first top panel before I figured out that I had forgotten to do that. So I just added it to the bottom panel. And yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So I'm feeling much more confident in my sewing. I'm feeling much more adventurous in my sewing. I was watching Bernadette Banner on YouTube, which you probably know about her. She's very popular, historical dressmaker, sewist. Fascinating, entertaining, would recommend. Anyway, but I was watching her one day, and she was making some extravagant gown, and the fabric wasn't wide enough at the bottom. Like there was a little bit that didn't fit under her pattern piece. And she was like, oh, that's fine. She just cut it off and cut it out of a different spot and made a seam. And she said what they always say in like the historical fashion world or whatever, that piecing is period. And that just like stuck with me. And I was like, oh, I could just sew shit together. Gotcha. Which I actually ended up doing with the waistband of that skirt, because I wanted to cut it on the bias and I didn't have enough fabric continuously on the bias. So I did it in half. I just cut the piece in half, made a seam, put my interfacing on it. I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. And I also did it with this project, which this is the leftover fabric from the Ace top that I showed you guys last time that I made. And I was like, you know what? I think I have enough fabric to, oopsie. I think I have enough fabric to like make a tank top out of that. So I printed out a different seamwork pattern. This is the Julia tank top. And I laid out the pieces on my fabric and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to do this. Except I didn't quite have enough contiguous fabric, contiguous fabric. Oh, that's for the back. Well, whatever. You'll get the idea. To cut out the entire piece. So, first of all, I'm going to end up with an extra seam on this tank top going down the front and going down the back because I didn't have enough contiguous fabric. So I gave myself the extra seam allowance that I'm going to need for that so I could sew these two pieces together and then have one piece for the front and one piece for the back that will have a seam going down the center. And I also didn't have enough contiguous fabric for the straps of the tank top. So I just slashed it. I cut the pattern and moved it up and cut out a piece for the straps. And these are not lining up because I'm like, one of these is the front and one is the back, whatever. You get the idea. I had to do it on the front and the back. So I just kind of like tried to pick an angle that seemed sort of like a raglan direction, you know? So I'm like, oh, that seems like that might, you know, but it's cut like this. So I'm gonna have an extra seam like here and the same on the back, and a seam down the front and a seam down the back. We'll see. I'm curious. I'm very curious. But I just had so much of this fabric left in just odd sized pieces. So if this is a successful garment, that just like opens up possibilities. It really opens up, you know, fabric stash. Because I'm starting to get some fabric stash of leftover bits. And it's like, what the hell do I do with all of this stuff? So I also talked to you guys briefly last time about the fact that I decided to make a quilt for Christmas for my dad. I had cut out some fabric last time. I didn't show it to you. I now am happy to say that I have all of my half square triangles made up into their squares. That part is done. Yeah. Here they are. All of my half square triangles are made up and ready to go. So my theory with this was my dad really loves gaudy Southwest decor. So I was like, I'm just going to pick all of the silly Southwestern prints that I can find. So this maroon is going to be my main fabric. So every square has one half that is this maroon with the little, what would you call that? Like weaving design on it. So yeah, I've got some cowboy boots. Let's see. Yeah, I've got this stripy sort of geometric. I've got this cute little one with cacti and succulents. Okay, this is where they start to get a little bit silly. I got this one with chili peppers. I've got these with little teepees. Oh God. I've got these with just like geometric pattern on it. Oh, here's another one. I've got these with little arrows. And oh yeah, I got a couple more. This with feathers, teepees, arrows, geometric patterns. And just another geometric piece. And I think that's all of them. Yeah. Yeah. So I have all of the pieces ready to go. The next step is going to be to start making bigger blocks. And the pattern I'm working off of is called New Mexico Queen Quilt. I can't remember the designer. I'll put it down here. It'll also be linked below. And it's like a beginner-friendly quilting pattern that walks you through the whole thing, gives you links to tutorials. So far, it's been very clear step by step, and like has a chart that says you need to cut out this many of this many of this, and like even gave you a cutting diagram. So you didn't have to do the math yourself for like the main color, because you're cutting out a lot of those squares. So you could just say, okay, I need to cut like 5 across and 3 down, all at 9 inches or whatever. Anyway. And so then, yeah, it tells you how many you need to sew together. I've gotten that far. And then it gives you little diagrams of like, I think just 2 blocks together. And it says to do however many blocks this way, and however many blocks this way, and however many blocks this way. And then you add those together and you make your strips, your full strips. And then you sew those together, and then you have your quilt top. And then I don't know what I'm doing after that. I know I'm going to have to, I need to get backing fabric. I don't have fabric for the back of the quilt yet. So that's, and I don't have batting yet. So I still need to get those 2 things. But other than that, I should have all of the materials I need. I don't know how I'm going to quilt it in the end. I don't want to send it out anywhere. So either I'm just going to do like straight lines going up and down to quilt it, just on my own machine, or I'll do it by hand and just like do the little, I don't know what they're called. Are they called quilter's knots? Is that actually what it's called? Where you just do 1 point and like leave a little bow or whatever. So I'll do one of those 2 things probably. If anybody has any advice, I've never made a quilt. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. I have been talking for so long. I have so many flippin' projects, you guys. It's dumb. Okay, so next week is Thanksgiving here in the US. Which means I have a long weekend. I'm self-employed, so it's hard to say that because like I'm not getting holiday pay or anything. And like I still have to work on Wednesday because I have people checking into the rental house. And I'll have to go by there on Saturday because then they're leaving. So I still have to do some things, but I'm going to try and give myself like a Thanksgiving weekend. I am just going to have dinner with my dad. I'm going to cook because he doesn't know how. I've made my meal plan. I've gotten most of the stuff at the store. Still going to have to grab a couple things next week, which is not going to be fun, but it's going to be delicious. So with my time off next week, I want to get that linen stitch scarf done. I want to get the October hat done. I want to get the shawl that just needs tassels done, the Alejandra. And yeah, I really need to break out the sewing machine too and like get to the next step on the quilt. I think those are the biggest priorities for the holiday weekend. It'd be super cool if I could finish that skirt too, but I'm not gonna promise that. Oh yeah, so the name of the game these days is, here's my cutout pieces, back shoulder, front shoulder. Get some of these WIPs done and start being more thoughtful and intentional about things that I cast on and which projects I'm working on at a given time. That's the plan anyway. yeah, as far as like natural dye and everything, I can't do much right now. Um, my dye studio is my back porch. I use rainwater collection for my dye water. I've got a big cube, rainwater collection cube out there. And it's almost full. And I checked it the other day. I was like, oh, that's just gonna be frozen solid. And I pushed on it and it is. It's just a huge ice cube. Like, 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. Like, just a giant ice cube. I was like, okay, I'm not getting anything done out here anytime soon. Yeah, so this winter, I really want to start focusing on spinning fiber and doing handspun as well. So hopefully that can start kicking into gear as we're getting more into the holiday season and I get some of these things done. I can start doing some spinning projects too. Oh my gosh. Are any of you guys in the same situation where you just have way too many projects? Like, I'm trying not to do a lot of like Christmas gifts. Like the commission, not a Christmas gift. The hat, not a Christmas gift. The shawl, not a Christmas gift. The quilt, that's a Christmas gift. And I do have one knit that I need to cast on. I'm going to make a hood for a friend. I think I'm going to use that Albiona McLaughlin pattern. I don't remember what it's called. I'll put it down here. So that should be a pretty quick knit too. So I'm not too concerned about that not getting done in time. I'm a little concerned about the quilt not getting done in time. But I've still got over a month. So that's doable, right? Right? Anyway, thank you so much for spending some time with me and coming and sitting in my living room with me. I hope you guys are having a wonderful fall or wintry weather, or spring if you're down south. Yeah, spring feels very far off right now. There's so much snow outside. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna try and get back to you guys sooner next time. And until then, happy crafting. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.